Okay. So I read Sleeping Beauty. I chose to read the original version instead of the 100 Years Later. And in Sleeping Beauty, there was a king named Stephen and a queen named Leah, and they had a little girl, had a princess named Aurora. So all the townspeople, the fairies, everybody came to the castle to congratulate the king and queen on the birth of their new baby girl. They brought all types of presents and gifts. So the fairies came and they gave their gifts. Well, there was one in red. I want to say her name is Flora. She gave the gift of beauty. There was another one named Fawn. She gave the gift of song. But before Mayweather could give her gift, Maleficent, she's the evil one, she came and she put a spell on the baby. And the spell was for when the child turned 16 years old, she was going to die. But in order for that spell to be broken, Mayweather put her gift on her, and she would be awakened. She wouldn't die, but she would be awakened by a true love's kiss. So the king and queen were terrified. They didn't know what to do. They didn't want this spell that Maleficent put on their baby to come true. So the fairies thought of an idea. They came up with a plan. And the plan was to raise Aurora like she was theirs, like they were her aunts, until she was 16 years old, so that the spell could not take place. It wasn't going to come to pass. And so they took Aurora into the woods, into this little cottage. It was like a little tree cottage, and they raised her as their own. Well, when she turned 16 years old, they tried to have a surprise party. But they messed up because they started using their wands. The whole 16 years, they were not allowed to use their wands. That is how Maleficent knew what was going on. She knew if they had the princess because they were using their wands. They were using their magic to survive. So in 16 years, they could not use their wands. They couldn't use anything to survive. So they basically had to do it the natural way, the human way. So, on her 16th birthday, they chose to open their wands back up and use it to give her a surprise party. But what they didn't expect was for Princess Aurora, whose name now was Beryl Rose. She grew up thinking her name was Beryl Rose. So she goes out in the woods and to get berries for her party. She's singing to all the birds and the rabbits and the frogs and all of the animals that live in the forest. She's singing to them where she meets this guy that she really likes, not knowing that the guy is Prince Phillips. So they meet, they have a dance, but she's not supposed to meet any strangers. So she goes back to the cottage and she wants to tell them that she met this guy. But before she can tell them this, they tell her that she's the actual princess and that was her last night. Her 16th birthday was her last night living in the cottage. That she had to go back with her parents, the queen and king, and be the princess that she truly is. Well, Prince Aurora didn't know that she was a princess, so this broke her heart. She didn't like it. She wanted to be with the guy that she met in the woods, not knowing that he's a prince. So they take her back to the castle, and she's just heartbroken and she's sad, and so they give her some time to herself. So the prince goes back to the cottage to see her. They had a meeting that afternoon. They wanted to meet, and she wanted to show them her aunts. The prince goes to the cottage. Well, Maleficent finds out that they have the princess. So she goes to the cottage and she captures Prince Phillips. And she takes him back to the Forbidden Mountain where she lives. So the fairies go back to the cottage and they realize that Maleficent has captured the prince. She has captured the prince's true love. So they go to the Forbidden Mountain to rescue the prince. And they go through all these obstacles. They have to use their wands to destroy Maleficent's creatures. They have to use their wands to break the chains because Maleficent had the prince chained up. The prince was in the dungeon. So, and his horse was on the wall. They also had his horse chained up too, Samson. So, as they rescue the prince, Maleficent figures out what's going on. So, she used her ball of fire to try to trap the prince, and every turn he tried to make, he got his horse Samson back, and they speed toward the castle so that he can go find his true love. But Maleficent wasn't having that. She wasn't happy about that. So she tried to do everything in her power. She threw tree stones at him, trees with thorns on him. He had a sword and he cut through every stone. So they get to the bridge. And Maleficent, she turns herself into a humongous dragon with fire all around her. And the fairies see that Prince Philip is having a little trouble. So they're following them. And they sprinkle all their pixie dust and all their fairy dust on him, and they bring him back to life because Maleficent had threw him off a mountain and he was headed into the ball of fire that she created at the bottom of the mountain. So the fairies brought him back to life, and as he comes back to life, he sees the castle, and he's full speed ahead on Samson, getting to his true love. Out of breath, can't breathe, hard for him to breathe. He makes it to the castle. He sees Prince Aurora laying there, waiting for her true love. And without hesitation, he kisses her softly on the lips and awakens her with the true love's kiss. And they dance the night away, happily ever